obviously including the shareholders from the company. So if you wanted to trade it, I would look at it more from an active trade standpoint. And if it starts to flip and turn, it might be a good fun short for a day or two.
Interesting.
So like which stocks would you be looking to trade?
Okay, now do you want me to share screen and show?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah? Okay, let's do that. Because eventually I wanted to show you the economic modern family anyway, and the best way to do that is to share the screen. So let me get to, where am I at? Right here. Let me just make sure I'm in the right here. So you should see this screen with, it says futures market. You see that? Okay, so no, let me see, do you see this if I switch, or does that mess me up? So you're seeing charts here in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay, it's hard to tell because I can't really see what you're seeing. Okay, cool. So you wanted to know some of the trades that I've been looking at. So one, of course, is Rivian. Rivian has been a very interesting stock. Let's blow that up. In that it has totally, this is a daily chart. Let's squeeze that up a little bit here. We've had these massive runs and then these massive sell-offs. So it is actually a very good stock, not necessarily to own, but what I like to say, to rent. In other words, you get in, you make your money, you get out. And at some point, will that continue to run? Maybe. But right now, it's been very much in this wide range. So the reason why we liked it recently is we got in after this reversal here, and it took out, this is a 10-day moving average, the one that's pink. Once it cleared that 10-day moving average, we waited a couple of days, but we got in like right around here around when it took out this high right here, we got in around 1480. I've already took some profit at 1650. So that's not a bad little tranche, first part off. Generally, what I'll do is if I'm risking, see, when I bought it at 1480, my risk was down here to about 1326, so figure $1.50. So when I get the $3, generally is double the risk, I would change the stop. But because this is Rivian, I got out a little bit ahead of that. But I'm still holding the core of it. And now I have a different stop. Since I got in here, if it breaks down under the 50 and the 200-day moving average, I'm gone, right? The other thing which you don't see on this chart, so let me put this in here. I wanted to show you, let's get rid of these Bollinger Bands here. This is our momentum indicators, right? So you can see in real motion here, Rivian is starting to get better momentum over this, what we call the zero line. And in terms of performance versus the S&P, you can see that it's really starting a little bit here to be on par with the S&P. And if it starts to outperform, that'll be a really good sign. And the fact is right now, this is a weekly chart. So let's go back to a daily chart. Here you can see the momentum is not necessarily following through because here's the green. That's the 200-day moving average. See the green here? That's a momentum 200-day moving average. The red dots shows you the momentum relative to the price. And right now it's still slightly underperforming the price. So that's why you got to be fast. If this thing can't continue and move up over this level here at around 18, which was where it's been stopped several times, then I'll get out and I'll look at it again. So that's trade number one. And I like Rivian for a few reasons. One is they came out with a cheaper car this year. Two, I've seen a lot of Rivians on the road, more than I've ever seen. Do you see them by you at all? Have you seen Rivians?
No.
No.
You see Teslas?
Not so many in this country, to be honest.
Okay, then no, that's curious. This is good information because it's one thing here in the United States, but what makes a car company really succeed is when you start to see it more internationally. Like I would imagine you see Toyotas, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yes.
But we have more of Chinese EVs.
Chinese. Well, yeah, and we're going to talk about China in a second. So the next stock that I bought, energy. So I consider this one of my hard asset plays. I'm not really sure why none of my, hold on, let's get those indicators in there because let's go to daily chart and then go here, get rid of these Bollinger Bands just so the chart is cleaner. Okay, so this is Constellation Energy. This is a stock right now, from what I saw before the open, it might be coming in around 264. This is where it closed yesterday. But this relates to nuclear energy. So when I say alternative energy, I'm really speaking about things like uranium, nuclear energy, lithium, obviously solar energy, which has already been pretty hot. And you'll see in a moment, I'm even looking at natural gas more than I'm looking at oil. I haven't traded oil in a while because of the volatility of it and because when something becomes a political football, it doesn't interest me. There's so many other things to do. But if you just look at this from a technical standpoint, you see these lows back here that we had. That was in February of this year. And the lows we just had here recently almost looks like this beautiful double bottom. So if you're kind of a buy and hold, this might be one that I would consider. Obviously, you don't want to be in it if it breaks down under these recent lows. But I think if this thing can get going, you could see that we've had big moves. Obviously, I would say if we can get to 350, that would be extraordinary. But I don't see any reason why the future for this won't be very, very bright, because we know eventually nuclear energy is going to become more prevalent. And also, it's a lot safer than the old days when people panicked about nuclear reactors blowing up. Again, though, momentum is improving, but not quite really doing much. And it's still well underperforming the S&P. So the next position is kind of an interesting position, not one that people would think about very often. And that's Stitch Fix. But it represents really a feeling I'm having in any retail that is going to be advantageous in the world of diet drugs. So how are diet drugs doing? Do you hear much about Wegovy and Ozempic in Africa?
Yeah, for dieting people who wanna like weight loss and stuff, they use Ozempic.
Well, that's good. So that, see, unlike, now knowing that Chinese EVs are a thing, obviously globally, these diet drugs, I think if you look at them as a mega trend, Sylvia, it's infancy. When I say infancy, I think as they become more affordable and some of the controversy around them abates, especially when people can take a pill as opposed to an injection. I mean, let's put it this way. If you knew that you could take a pill for the rest of your life and never have to worry about gaining weight, diabetes, heart disease, high cholesterol, and feel good about yourself at the same time, why wouldn't you, right? And I think people have shamed people on diet drugs as to saying, oh, why don't you just go work out? But they have no understanding of what it is to have a lifelong battle against obesity. Certainly here in America, we see it a lot. And so I've been very excited about these diet drugs. But more importantly, if you know somebody on diet drugs, good old consumer instinct for stock trading is ask them, what are you buying now? What are you not buying now? Where are you getting your clothes? Where are you dining? Where are you exercising? What type of travel things are you doing? I mean, there are people who never were allowed to zip line, for example, because they were too heavy. And now they can't. So, you can see that it affects the stock market. So this stock came on my radar, Stitch Fix. This came on my radar in 2021, by the way. I just scroll all the way back here. Look where this stock was in 2021, because it was a hot new company. Basically, you work with a person at the company who designs, or at least not designs, but decides what fashions you should have based on your body type, your preferences, etc. They mail you the clothes. You don't like them, you send them back. And so people were like super excited about this. And a lot of people have been using them for different reasons. Some people just because it's convenient, some people because they feel that they themselves don't have much in terms of fashion sense. So we got long this stock once it took out, look at all the support down here that it had around 3. We got in at around 350, 360. And now it's so interesting, and this is why it's important to know about charts. The 200-day moving average has proven to be resistance. So that if it can get through this resistance, then I think this is a stock that should probably get up at least around here, up to about close to 6, outperforming the S&P. And if you look at the momentum here, the dots are already over the 200, the green where the price is not. We call that a bullish divergence. So, I'm trying to have somewhat of a diversified portfolio just so that I can have exposure to many different things, but not too much. And now, in fact, talk about the diet drugs. I mean, Eli Lilly, I've been holding on forever, but this is Novo Nordisk. So again, I'm not sure why none of my lines are in here. So let me just do this real quick so you can see. So again, Novo Nordisk has so underperformed Eli Lilly, and yet they could be the first to come out with a really good pill. So we like this. It bottomed out here. I mean, obviously this was earnings gap down. It bottomed out, and then when it came back down to the 50, this is, here I wasn't really sure, but here's where we started to buy. So we don't have a lot of money in this stock yet because we just got long, but we have a good stop. I have tightened the stop because I don't want to see this go into a downturn again. But yet, if this thing can get back over, I'd say $50 a share, I think then it's well on its way. And you can see, look at that momentum. We like to look at this momentum. We call this real motion. It's over the 50, it's over the 200. This is over the 50, under the 200. Again, we call that a bullish divergence of momentum. So something to pay attention to. And then just for fun, I also bought Robinhood. I've been in this trade now for a while. Robinhood is obviously, I think, one of the hottest companies around, undervalued still, because you asked me about SpaceX being undervalued or at fair value. Robinhood is the future. And I feel that way because of everything that it's involved with, including banking. Now you can actually get 4.25% interest on your money in Robinhood. So this is a weekly chart, which is interesting because it stopped right at the 50-week, but let's go to the daily chart. Here is your 200-day moving average. It's coming in, I saw around 99, well outperforming. And again, momentum not as great, but we bought this at $75. So we're just riding our tail. If we cannot get through this 200, then most likely we would either take a bigger profit and just get out or sit with very little just to see what happens. And to round it off, our positions, I'm going to talk about natural gas. I also have silver and gold, but we don't have time to go through every single thing. These are more of the newer positions that I wanted to show you with the logic, because rather than teach you how to trade right now, which obviously, could take a really long time, you could just see my logic. I like something for a fundamental reason, but I get in because of a technical reason. So this is a weekly chart. Let's go to a daily. So if we look at this daily, again, natural gas to me when it was down here was just too ridiculously cheap. By the way, this is not the future. This is the ETF. We could look at the futures, but let's look at the ETF. That's UNG. So you can see it sort of reversed here. And now, again, I've been long for a while. I actually added to this. I think it's coming in. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at it recently at around 1150. It's above both moving averages. Again, a bullish divergence because it's not above both in price and sort of on par with the S&P. So if you put it all together, along with the position that we have in silver and gold, that's old, and a couple of other things outside of the algorithmic models I told you about, you can see that we have a really good portfolio, but like all portfolios, you have to have trade management.
100%. So I think what we can do, guys, let's click on the second meeting link because this one is gonna expire in a few. And then Michele can take us through her new project that she's been talking about, and we're excited to hear more about it. So I've sent the link on the chat. I'm gonna end this meeting. So I'm giving you guys time to click on the new link, and then I will start it in a few. On the chat section. So let me know if you're able to click. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I'm on the chat.
Yeah, on the chat section.
Messages. Here's got it. Oh, I see. Okay, I didn't see it right away. Okay.
Okay. All right. So let me end this for now.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna get into YouTube here.
Yeah. So Michelle, you can take us through your new project now. Let me give you access to your screen.
Okay, how come I hear you double?
Oh yeah, because I hadn't muted the other side. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. So I'm cool. I'm good. Everything.
Everything is okay. Let me give you access to share screen.
Hmm.
Could you try share and then see what it tells you?
Host disabled participant screen sharing. So you have to give me permission.
Okay. So I've made you host, so you can share your screen now.
Okay, great. All right. Well, before I do, I just want to say a couple of words. And by the way, if anybody has any questions, of course, please feel free to. I just gave you a lot of information on our portfolio and how we look at the market, tips for this year. By the way, cannot forget to mention tomorrow is a big day because the Fed meeting is happening under the new chairman, Warsh. Everybody's expecting him to be hawkish. I'm kind of expecting him to be more dovish, anticipating that inflation has peaked. I'm anticipating yields have peaked. So I wanted to mention that because I think it's a really important piece of this whole trading equation. Okay, so now I'm going to share the screen. All right, so this is our YouTube channel. But before I show you anything, let me explain a little bit about what I'm doing here. So when Davy was giving the bio on me, she mentioned that I have a master's in special education, which is true. And it's how I started in life as a special education teacher. And then I became what they call an inclusion specialist, which means that I was now working throughout all different school districts to make sure that the kids that had special needs, and I mean from garden variety, learning disability, all the way on up to kids with Down syndrome, autism, et cetera, were fully or as much as they could be included into general education. No special ed bus, special ed classroom, with the world that these kids never get to see typical peers. I was very passionate about that. But what I learned during that time was that the way all kids learn is through stories more than facts. You can learn a fact, you can cram for a test, get all those facts in your head, you take the test, next day you've forgotten all those facts. But if somebody tells you a story, you remember. And so when I started with the markets, not so much the commodities markets, because that's where I spent 14 years. As Davey also mentioned, I was a trader on the commodities exchange in the World Trade Center. But then when I started trading stocks, I'm not an economist. I'm like, how am I going to make sense of all of this? The different sectors, da, 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 da. So I decided to think about them in terms of characters. And so I started to work with this cartoonist, and we created these 7 characters that represent the economy. And then from there, we created dolls, and then they sort of sat on my shelf for a long time. And finally, about 7 months ago, a guy I know from town came into my office and said, with AI, we can bring these characters to life. So that born my financial literacy series, The Economic Modern Family, and now we're calling it even trading literacy. So we've really experimented a ton, and we've come up with 2 formulas. One is for Gen Z, right? So kids I say kids, they're not kids, but young adults who are trading. And Robinhood, again, being a big part of that. How do they learn how to trade in the way that Gen Z's attention span holds for them, about 30 seconds with lots of visual? So that's, I'm going to show you an episode, 2 episodes of that, because they're very short. And then teen trading, because now Robinhood, Schwab, all these companies now are allowing you to open up a trading account when you're 13. And because of this wonderful device called our cell phone, everything happens right here. So we've also decided to make it a short form vertical format. So if you don't know the family members, you can see here, we'll go left to right. That's transportation. This is regional banks. This is Big Brother Biotechnology, Granny Retail, Grandpa Russell 2000, our Crypto Bro, and Sister Semiconductors. And they all have pets. Actually, regional banks has a pet called Neobanco, which is digital banks, which I know is very popular in other areas outside the United States, because you don't need a brick and mortar building. You just go on your phone to do your banking. So that's kind of what we've done. And what we're really trying to do is change the face of literacy. Old-fashioned financial literacy is like, oh, what's saving money? Oh, what's compounding? Oh, what's a dividend? We're talking about trading. How do you trade? How do you make money? And how do you make money fast and safely? So we're going to start with good old Granny.
Sweetheart, trading ain't marriage. It's speed dating. You're renting a stock, not buying it forever. Think of it like an Airbnb. You stay for 2 nights and then bounce before something breaks. You are here for the move, not the memory. Now, honey, let's talk about why people make money trading. And it's not because they are patient. Sweet.
So that's the first one. So really, basically, what Granny Retail is doing is setting you up to let you know you can think very short term about trading. Everything that I just said, by the way, let me log into this because it should be, okay, you know what? That's not going to happen because it's going to take me too long. I don't want to do that. Sorry about the distraction with the other stuff there, but it just,
No worries.
yeah, I don't know. I don't understand. Okay, so forget this. Let's cancel this. Let's go back to
The granny is really funny.
cute. She's so cute. Okay, so let's, oh, I see it. Let's go back here. And I'm not really sure what's happening here. But I may let me go back to this, but I don't understand why I'm not getting. I'm going to stop share for a second. Let me just get back to the right screen. So you can ask me questions about her for a second if you, oh, here we go. Okay. So now that's Granny Retail. But now I'm going to show you the next one, which is Big Brother Biotechnology. He's talking about volatility. But we're going to have all these lessons about risk and stop losses and how to enter and opening ranges. That's where we're going. It's going to be about a 50, 60 short episodes to teach Gen Z about trading. Let me show this. And then the last thing I'll show is a little bit of the pilot that we're doing for kids. And again, please, you'd be so helpful to me if you go to the channel and if you hit subscribe, like, and then share it. Right now, you can see we have 446 subscribers because we really just got started in December. And we're trying to spread the word. If we get to 500 subscribers, YouTube kicks in and starts helping you promote your videos. Plus, you actually start to monetize, which, of course, I don't expect a lot at 500 subscribers, but it's a milestone that you guys can really help me get to. So I'll be looking forward to that. All right, so let's go to Big Brother Biotechnology.
So you want to make money fast?
But before we go into him, he is actually usually in a lab creating pharmaceuticals. That's his job. He's a neuroscientist. He's modeled after Ben Carlson, who is a neurosurgeon that was here in the United States that ran for president, actually, with Trump won. So anyway, all the characters are going to be teaching, and he is one of my favorites. So let's go.
So you want to make money fast? Well, fast moves create fast opportunities. We call this volatility. Volatility, it's like caffeine. Too much and you shake, but just enough and you fly. Traders ride the energy rush, but they leave before the sugar crash.
So that's it. In that, I mean, what did you learn in that 20 seconds that you just saw this?
Too much volatility can harm you as a trader.
Right?
Yeah.
But just a little bit of it is not too bad, right? So,
Yeah.
right. Okay. So the last thing I'm going to show you here, and you can see where we're going with this, is the kids, which is not published, by the way. So, where videos? We have not published the kids because we are right now actively working with, okay, why can't I see the, oh, I have to go to the playlists. Okay, but by the way, we're calling this Trader 101. I'm not sure, probably because I see why now. I'm not signed in switch accounts. I wasn't signed in as the economic minor family, which of course, okay, now I am. Sorry. That's why you were seeing them in such a weird format. Okay, videos. Let me see if I even have the kids up here. No, for some reason, I do not have the kids up here. I'm not really sure why. But essentially, it's the same kind of thing. I know I must have the kids up here somewhere. You can see how many videos we've done. And so we are extremely excited about this. This just gives you, all right, so you know what I'll do is play this for 1 second.
Have you heard about the stock market?
No? What's that? And who are you?
Hi.
And so that's the very, very beginning of the Economic Modern Family Literacy Series for kids. You can see we have 2 teenagers there, and they go through this portal, and all of the different characters are teaching them much more in depth than what we just saw for the Gen Z Trading 101. They're going to learn money flow. They're going to learn about the sectors. They're going to learn how to think about the economy and the market, just like I did when I got started. And then from there, by the end of what's about a 6-week, 8-episode per week series, they'll know how to make their first trade, open an account and make their first trade.
Wow.
Wow.
Starting from the grassroots.
That's good. Wow's good. I'll take a
Very impressive, I must say. So you basically use AI to come up with this cartoon features and everything.
Well, I would say no. That's I created these characters in 2015 and 2016. These are copyrighted now. Their AI images are actually copyrighted by the US government. It is almost impossible to get anything AI copyrighted. The reason why we could was because these characters existed. A human created them. And so I want people to understand we're using AI for the animation. That's why you're seeing, look how great that animation is. It's like almost like Pixar quality, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the scenes and the movement and the direction and how the characters look. If you look at the original cartoon and then you look at how they look now, it's like they're the same characters, but the AI has given us the ability to create these very fast.
Mm.
You know, you used to have to hire a whole company to create a cartoon loop. 500 people would have to work on a comic strip. Now it's me and 2 other guys, and we're the only ones doing this right now. I'm scripting mainly, and they're generating.
Okay. Interesting work, and especially because you explain things in a very simplified manner that kids can understand, and the fact that kids at the end of the 8 tutorials can be able to place their first trade is really, really impressive.
Yeah, and we'll have some quizzes in there, like interactive quizzes, so kids can have some accountability for themselves to see what they've retained. And by the way, when I talked about inclusion before with special ed, this is the ultimate inclusion because I want everybody to be able to have the ability to trade. They can do it now if you have a phone or a laptop, but not everybody knows how to trade, and they think it's as easy as looking at Grok,
Yeah.
or looking at Polymarket or something, but it's much more complicated than that, as we know, because when the market's up, it's easy. But if the market ever goes down, which it will at some point, not so easy, that's when you need your education.
Yes.
All right, guys. So do you have any questions for Mish? Anyone?
Meg ask.
Please.
Ask.
Did you,
Oh, okay. So you kept on mentioning bullish divergence and the 200 EMA. Is that something that's very fundamental to your trading strategy, and is it price action?
Okay, well, first of all, it's not an EMA, it's an SMA, right? So simple
Mm.
as opposed to an exponential moving average. Important because there's a difference. So basically, I like to always, the way to frame this, again, is through a story, right? So when we were on the floor of the commodities exchange, have you ever seen the movie Trading Places with Eddie Murphy?
Yeah.
Yes, you have, Sylvia?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Well, I suggest, Daisy, that you actually watch this movie, right? Because well, it's a great movie, number one, and it's a kind of a cult film, number two, but it really shows you the commodities exchange back in the day. They don't have it anymore. It used to be called open outcry. Like everybody would be standing in a pit, hundreds of guys and me and a couple of other women screaming and yelling, buy, sell, blah, 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 right? And so when you're down there, you can see momentum, you can feel it, you could taste it, you could hear it. And like sometimes I like to say, you could smell it, right? Because when people get very involved, they sweat. So momentum, though, as a measure through your five senses, when you're sitting at a computer, not so easy. So this indicator tells you that how momentum is doing versus the price. So what you want to see, if something has been beat up in price, like I showed you a couple of examples there, what you want to see is the momentum starting to improve, even if the price hasn't yet. Or if the price is way, way high and you're starting to see the momentum decline, that may tell you that the move up is over. And that's just like the floor. If everybody was buying, and all of a sudden the buying dried up and the price was high, there would be that second before everybody goes, sell. And the same thing when everybody was selling, and all of a sudden the orders started coming in. And there used to be like guys on the phone taking orders from the big companies like Merrill Lynch, et cetera, et cetera. But if its price just sat there and you could see the order flows, you knew the momentum was switching. And that's, again, what we now can see in this chart. It's the divergence that I'm mostly interested in. Does that help explain?
Yes, it does. Very well explained.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know, do you guys get did you watch the NBA finals? Were you able to see that?
Knicks in 5.
Knicks in 5, yes. Well, I'm a old New Yorker, right? So I was a basketball player in college and high school, so I was so happy. But nonetheless, momentum in game 4 and 5, while the Knicks were down, what you started to see was the momentum shift, right? All of a sudden, the Spurs were missing shots. All of a sudden, we were getting more rebounds on the Knicks. All of a sudden, we were starting to score a couple of baskets while the Spurs stopped scoring. That I actually said, I put on a bet at Robinhood at that point on the Knicks. That was the underdog. Why? Same thing in the stock market. The momentum was shifting.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So there you go.
Any
All right.
questions on the chat?
I'm sorry, sweetie. I'm sorry, I shouldn't.
Any questions for the chat? Like you can type in.
Oh, yeah, I see. No, I don't see any questions so far, but I would love to answer any while we're here. Okay. Well, you know what? It's okay because sometimes people are just listening and absorbing. And I give so much information at one time. I overwhelm people. I get that about me. So you could find me at Economic Modern Family YouTube channel, but also you could find me on X at Echo Mod Fam. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Facebook. In fact, I see Sylvia everywhere too. I get to see her lovely photos of her and her family especially when you're all dressed up out and about. And so you can find me pretty much the same way. So if you think of something after,
Okay.
please feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
I think I have your Twitter and your LinkedIn and now your YouTube, which I urge you guys to go and subscribe to her channel. Then you will send me the links to your other socials so I can link them to the show notes when we're uploading this webinar.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, and we would love to host you again, so we can also learn a little bit more from you. I think it was a very insightful session. So that's it from me. Daisy, any last parting shots for Michele? Oh, Michele, any last parting shots for us?
Just I think to sum up everything that I said is ignore the headlines, follow the price, look at the momentum, and make sure that you have a strategy, a stop, take profits along the way. And like I said, at this point, with the market so extended, think more about renting than buy and holding, unless you're getting at something so cheap that you think could trend for a long time, like at the couple of ones that I mentioned, alternative energy, and of course, things related to the diet drugs that I call the vanity trade.
Okay, well understood. So I'd like to also, William is saying, great insights, Mish. Thank you for your time. So that's a compliment to you, Michele. Also, thank you guys for joining us for our Trading Tuesday. So we do this every other Tuesday. So we'd love to host you again in the future, Mish. And for today, we want to thank you for your time and for sharing your knowledge with us. And that's it from me, Daisy.
I'm beyond grateful to have met someone who has actively traded in the New York Exchange, especially as a lady. It's some of the ambitions we can only dream about. So I don't take this for granted. We would love to have you here again. And I really love how you made it simple to understand.
Great. Oh, thank you, Daisy. That means a lot to me. And thank you, Sylvia. I would be honored to come back. And I know we talked about I have never been to Kenya. I would love to come. It is on the bucket list for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be sure to have you sometime and we'd love to show you around as well.
Okay.
So let's
Yeah.
keep in touch. Yeah. I have your number.
Yes,
So
you
yeah.
you got my number, girl.
Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.